what people debated for a long time about the Matrix, what exactly is going on with the red pill thing. I saw people on Twitter, normie left peeps saying, "Oh, the right wingers hijacked red pill. They hijacked it." That's kind of true because actually the red pill was the counterculture, CIA counterculture waking up to the Matrix, man. Right? Boomer Garcia level stuff. Yeah, the Matrix, man. Do a little bit of LSD, wake up out of the Matrix, man. If you don't know, that's Jamie and I's archetype of the idiot hippie boomer guy who still believes in the revolution. And it's just, I don't know, it's just so patently obvious that this is engineered. It's religious engineering, as the PSYOP cinema guys say. And so, I don't know where exactly it's going to go. I mean, I know it's going to go to the metaverse, but what I'm saying is that what these movies are doing, and they're fine for illustration purposes. Yes, you can use the Matrix to talk about Plato's allegory of the cave. Yes, you can use it in philosophy classes to question the nature of reality, to talk about Plato, Neoplaton. I understand. That's not the point. My point here is just to talk about the long-term culture programming, religious engineering, culture creation, is that it's so obvious that this is connected to giving people new definitions of what is real, what is reality. And now that everybody's traditional notions of metaphysics have been destroyed and broken down, dude, now you're getting new metaphysics. This is what people don't understand, is that, and it's always these scientism soy people that are super into comic books, because it's a new metaphysic. And as we've seen in the last 2 weeks in Discord, in multiple debates, the scientism crowd doesn't know when they're doing metaphysics. And it's because they're philosophically ignorant. Neil deGrasse Tyson tells you not to do philosophy. Yeah, because you'll realize that he's full of it. He is full of the hot air of the giant gaseous ball that he loves so much. He's full of that hot air, as are all of these modern scientism proponents, because he doesn't want you to learn metaphysics. Because when you learn metaphysics, you would learn that this is all a bunch of nonsense. Quantum foam, infinite multiverses where you have cornbread legs like me in the multiverse that I was in last night, saving you all, saving all you ungrateful non-celebrities. So it's becoming clear that we know that they had planned the gamification of society. We know in a lot of the documents they had talked about the prevalence and rise of video game and gamification and automation. So, is it possible, and I think, I'm starting to think, yes, that the Matrix was really about preparing you to enter the Matrix. That's really what this is about. Now, why would we think that this is a plausible scenario? Well, we know that the Matrix itself actually is an old Pentagon plan. We know about that. Alex has talked about that a lot. We've talked about that a lot. And that's because they discussed the possibility of pods, get in your Coon pod, get in your Sim pod. That's all real. It's going to come. And then the possibilities of the brain interfaces, which I just covered in when we talked about the Singularity and the Kurzweil books. Eventually, the idea is that the metaverse, the virtual reality worlds, are going to be just nanotech, right? So we talked about that explicitly. I'm not going to redo all that. But the Matrix was clearly preparing for this. That's what I'm trying to say. And yeah, you could say, well, wasn't every virtual reality movie or show preparing for it? Maybe, but this one was different because it was such a huge thing. I mean, this was such a mega blockbuster that it's just like, it became its own meme. It became a meme of a meme. Even still, right? Redpill, that's still a Matrix meme. Which is, again, it's ironic because it's the opposite of the red pill meaning in Total Recall. But let's not forget, by the way, that PKD also believed in simulation theory. Actually, Philip K. Dick was one of the first public proponents of simulation theory. He was proposed it before any of the nerds at MIT or Oxford or whatever Cambridge wrote their papers positing it. Thus, we can begin to see the idea of gamification, which is coming about via crypto, NFT. And again, I'm not saying inherently these things are bad. Video games aren't bad. The internet's not inherently bad. None of these things are inherently bad. It's where they might take these things and what they might try to do with these things. And a lot of people, dude, they're going to like opt in to let me live in my coon pod and I'll be your battery. I will be your battery. Let me come and let me be. I will be Bill Gates' battery. Mark Zuck, I will come for free. Let me be your battery. I don't know where that came from. That just came out of nowhere. But
in the metaverse, you're going to find everything's going to be great. Oh, hey. Hi, guys.
Yes, I had to throw a little bit of Zuck in there. But by the way, did you remember that the Animatrix was about crypto? Yes, I know. There's boomer conspiracies every day I deal with about crypto. That's not the point. Okay, I'm pro crypto. Not all crypto is created equal. Some of the projects are bad. Some of them are good. Look up Klaus in the World Economic Forum's projects. Okay, those are Klaus coins. Okay, I'm not pro Fed coin. I'm not pro Klaus coin. So, but not all projects are the same. Anyway, so the Matrix is many things, and ultimately it is a neo-Gnostic Luciferian awakening experience to get you to question reality itself so that you can have the system's new metaphysic as a new download, basically is where I'm going with this. So that you will go into the metaverse and into the Matrix, basically, willfully, because you will no longer believe that reality is what people have for millennia said it is. That's what I'm trying to say. So the new worldview is going to be that you can't be a reality bigot. Now, everybody's been looking up my stuff from 5 and 10 years ago, and they've been finding things that I said, which I don't even remember saying half of the stuff, right? They're like, dude, in 2015, you predicted stabbies. Yes, I just shared that. I said that we mandated stabbies. I said in 2015, go listen to the podcast. Everybody knows about the Pope of the Future, that ridiculous satire from 5 years ago as well. Now they have the very things that I talked about in that satire video. So I think what I'm saying now is going to be the future too. Like I'm going to prophesy for you. I'm going to prophesy. Put your hands on the screen as a prophesy. The purpose of all this is to give a new metaphysic. Now metaphysics has been destroyed for the last 500 years from the Enlightenment. Now they want to give a new metaphysic that allows them to have control over you via getting you to buy into going into the Coon Pod. And the only way to get you to do that is to convince everybody that there is no reality other than the realities of infinite potentia. That's what I'm trying to say. The multiverse allows reality to be anything. And so it's no longer going to be about left and right, conservative and this and that, whatever. It's going to be about people who think that women can give birth, that breastfeeding existed. I'm not joking, because that's in Brave New World in 1984. In Brave New World, they laugh when they talk about breastfeeding because babies are born in tubes, dude. So how do we get people to that? Well, a new metaphysic has to come about. And as we know, the masses do not get their information from books, textbooks, and even the news, really. Where do the masses get their worldview? Movies, comic books. Well, not really comic books anymore, but you know what I'm saying. The pop culture, dude. Music and movies, pop culture, toxic culture. That's where people get their download. And although I like things that are meta and break the fourth wall, that's the one I did like that part of the Matrix movie. That was pretty fun. And that's an old thing in literature too, right? You go back to Midsummer. What's the Shakespeare play? That has breaking the fourth wall. This is an ancient thing, but the surrealism element here of breaking the fourth wall and the artist's world being its own multiverse reality, which, by the way, that comes up a lot in David Lynch films. If you haven't noticed that, like in Lost Highway, there's a scene where Bill Pullman breaks the fourth wall and he looks at the audience as if he can see them, which is interesting. And a lot of artists, a lot of writers play with this. Stephen King plays with this, right? Where the different Stephen King stories are worlds that interrelate. This is the premise of the whole Dark Tower, right? So it's a common thing in lit. It's been done for a long time. But now what they're trying to do, I think, is interject through scientism, nothing to do with science at all. No, absolutely no scientific basis whatsoever for all this metaphysical gibberish that they are re-injecting. Multiverse, quantum foam, quantum consciousness stuff. It's all to get people to buy into these things. That's it. And so the Matrix trilogy and the new one, which is very revelatory in terms of what it's really about, by the way, is ultimately that get you to, and that's why Marvel is pushing all this now so much, right? Multiverse, which is philosophical nonsense. We can show that very easily. For example, in philosophy, the way that we identify people or things or objects is connected to what's called the law of identity. So this goes back to ancient philosophy, ancient metaphysics, Aristotle. And it's really the questions that led to defining an essence, right? For Aristotle, the essence of a thing is that which a thing must have in order to be that thing and no other thing. So the law of identity comes into that because we identify it on the basis of this or that trait peculiar to that object that gives it particularity, identity, instantiation, individuation, etc. Essential traits, essential properties, whatever. So this has been part of philosophy for millennia, and it's obvious why it's true, because kind of knowledge presupposes this, right? At all. To be able to predicate presupposes that we can identify an object or a person, and that they retain that identity over time. So the law of identity is connected to identity over time, right? These are philosophical concepts. Now, pretty clearly, it should be obvious that science and the doing of science assumes all that. Yeah, obviously it presupposes that. And so the quantum cum dimension that everybody wants to bring in is premised on denying that. Okay, if we deny that, the problem that arises is so fundamentally flawed that it makes knowledge impossible. The denial of the possibility of identity over time, the law of identity, which I would say transcendental categories that are necessary for the possibility of predication. Once we deny those things, what happens is we don't open ourselves up to possibilities. We open ourselves up to nonsense, to outright crazy contradictions, which make knowledge impossible. So, for example, you are the you that is not just the collection of your experiences, but the actual hypostasis or person that is you, that has had those experiences. So there's an underlying haver of the experiences, a knower, a haver of those experiences, which is the you, the self, the consciousness, the soul, etc. That is you. And to posit an infinite variety of universes, multiverses, where you have had every slight differentiation as an experience, no longer is you, you see. Once I take you out of the you that is you in this dimension, this reality, this world, and start positing, oh, by the way, you're also Whoopi Goldberg in another dimension. Oh, by the way, there's another dimension where you have Whoopi Goldberg's eyes and her dreads, but you're still a dude. Oh, and then there's another dimension where you're like half of your body is the upper torso of Whoopi Goldberg, and then the bottom torso is cornbread, and you fall over, like I was saying was me, right? So this is called madness. Okay, this is not philosophy or science. This is called insanity. You could go to any local psychiatric ward and find people that have very similar types of views, or perhaps those very views. And so it's getting so crazy that, what was I reading? One of these MKulture documents was talking about the inducing of mania in the population. Okay, that's in one of the Tavistock documents, and it's in one of the MKulture things, that there's a strategy not just of inducing mania in individuals through dissociation, but inducing mania in the masses population. I'm like, oh yes, that makes perfect sense. Now I understand. And perhaps, this multiverse stuff, and the idea that you can identify yourself as anything. How? Oh, because there's a multiverse where I am. That's literally the logic of it, right? Go watch that trailer for, now I don't know this new movie from A24 where the Chinese woman is the shopkeeper laundry mat person who taps into her. Now you got to see this trailer. You'll see what I mean, right? Because this is coming out too now.